2 years. And to critically dissect the journey so far, we have a veteran journalist in the studio. He is the chairman, editorial board, The Nation newspaper. But that's why we're here. We're here for a different reason. But you can call us on the numbers on the screen. We have with us Mr. Sam Omatseye, who is going to be our guest today. Please welcome to the show.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Sam, good to have you. You can call us on 020-1635-2013, 090-2416-3440. You can also send us messages on X and also on YouTube. We're happy to read your messages. The reason why I said that's why you're here. We're here because of your book, because you just launched this fantastic book, and that's why we invited you. But later on, we'll discuss about the administration's 2-year and your thoughts on it. But let's talk about but first of all, how are you doing? It's been a while you've been on this show.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I've been on the show in other ways, as you know. By sending messages.
Oh, yes, I read your contributions when I get them. Good to have you on the show, sir. So, tell us about this new fiction. I was so drawn into it, you know. I mean, I'm on chapter 4, I think it's Mami's chapter, but we're still... Tell us about this book, this Juju Eyes. Let's start with the name. Where did that come from?
Well, in fact, somebody asked me about a week ago. I had to go into the book again to find out how I got that, you know. Because there was a scene in which there's this white man who is now in love with the main character called Shay. And he is visiting Port Harcourt, and is one of his friends, and he sees that the chef of his friend is calling his girlfriend Juju Eyes. So he was wondering, why do you want to, you know, demean the woman by calling her Juju Eyes? I said, no, okay, I'm not demean her. I call her Juju Eyes because I dey worship her. So this white man who is befriending Shay now calls Shay Juju Eyes because he feels that she's benumbing, she has quote unquote witchcraft beauty.
Yes. That's so cool. You know, when you were explaining, the way you are narrating it, it feels, I'm picturing it like it feels like a movie to me. Like, and one of the things that I find interesting about stories written by Nigerians is that it reflects us in a way that the other fictional stories written in the Western world does not reflect us. We don't see ourselves in the story. So well done for this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask that, are we going to be like, this story should get a movie out of it? You know, are you working out on something like a movie from any of the books you've written?
Well, no, not yet. I'm so busy writing, I'm not thinking about it.
So, I read the author's note, and you talked about a particular story you had heard during the COVID. About that period, how it unraveled a lot of relationships. And in this particular one, you know, it seemed that a couple had met their Waterloo, so to speak, because they've realized you are not who you say that you are. And for me, I would like you to give us a little bit of context on how this affected this particular story that you've written, and what is the message you're trying to pass across for people.
Yes, you see, the story began one morning when I was just surfing the news on social media, and then I came upon this story about this very attractive young lady who is married to a white guy in the UK. I think something, maybe in Dublin, somewhere around there. And the man is actually shocked by what he discovered. She denied who she was, her background, her educational background, her mother. And she could have accepted all she was, and the man could still have loved her for who she was, but she didn't. So that was sets my mind going, that this is not just about her. It's a kind of the society we live in, which things are not what they seem, you know. And, you know, I thought I would write this story about a man, this kind of story about a man, you know, somebody who is out there, who is successful, who is charming, intelligent, but has to has to succeed through disguises, through all kinds of phony exteriorities, things like that. Packaging, that's what's packaging. And I'm also concerned that there's a lot of innocence. Even inside of all of this, there's an innocence. And it's that innocence that actually gets me in this story. That in spite of the fact that she is this girl that everybody loves and tries to emulate or tries to envy, the rich men want her, the poor people fantasize about her, but she's there, she's innocent, but she has to somehow succeed. So that is the pressure on this lady.
I love the book. This is a fresh reading from your other books I've read.
Yes.
Yes, this is much.
The English is simpler.
You stepped it down a bit because I read Okoro. I couldn't understand it till I got to chapter 6. I read it again and again. It was around the Civil War. Just couldn't.
This one draws you in.
But this one is so engaging. I couldn't drop the book, and I've not even gone far. I liked the way you put the sexual violence that happened in the book. Yes. Almost as if a young girl could not tell the difference. She couldn't tell the danger. I've not read to the justice, so because we always look for justice.
Yes.
So I've not gone far with it. But I like the way you put it. Almost as if, if a girl were to read this book now, you would know where to draw the line. The line became blurred in the details, and I was wondering what was on your mind when. Because I know this is a fiction.
You see, I've that story about the girl and her uncle is more common than we think in this society. It's more common. If you read the stories, especially the crime stories in the newspapers, you see a lot of it. I read one last week about a father and an uncle who defiled a 10-year-old. Yes, it just has happened just last week. So we find a lot of that, and even the mother of the girl, and this is very interesting. The mother of the girl is not too sure that her daughter didn't draw the money. So there's still this ambiguity about it. It's like, is she even aware that she's also coquettish? Does she know how to draw the line when she is in this?
Yeah. It was almost like she was. I almost sensed that she knew, she saw it coming, thought about it when it might happen, and then it happened, and she felt that, okay, maybe I should have actually not allowed it to happen. But the suggestions were there.
As if she was consenting somewhere.
Somewhat, because she already said the suggestion. I was quite interested, but let me go on a very short break when we come back because we don't do book reviews on this. Thanks for staying with us. We still have Sam Omatseye with us, and I think I'd like to wrap up on this book conversation with the blurb at the back. And let me read from Professor Kumbi Olashope at University of Ibadan. It says, an interesting narrative, brilliantly woven. The author has captured the whole essence of human strength and frailty, actually. Intrigues, love, marriage, trust, hypocrisy, deceit, and lies. Indeed, you cannot pay anyone to be holy. You can only pay them to pretend. Now, for me, that captures really the essence of this book. So, in a nutshell, could you tell us what you expect Nigerians to get out of the book once they read it?
Well, there are so many things you can get out of it. The book is it's about a fallen woman, but it's also emblematic of the Nigerian society. But it's also deeply political. If you go into the novel, it's also interracial and so on. So it's about how Nigerians try to project a certain image other than who they are, and the challenges of trying to live that life.
So now let's move now into the Nigerian situation where we are, because as a nation, I know there's a lot of projection out there. We're projecting who we're not, because we are living in Nigeria is poor in a lot of people's senses, but we project something totally different from what we really are experiencing internally.
Exactly.
Because we've almost seen it as a norm in Nigeria, where you have to package it, or you have to make it look glossy and glamorous.
Make it.
So, but in the real sense of it, as a nation, the Nigerians are grappling with all the policies the current administration has put out there, and they're asking that question, that when are we going to see a better Nigeria? Because for many who are progressives, they had a deep sense of belief in this president and in the administration. And in 2 years, they're thinking to themselves, okay, are we still on the right track? Or have things derailed?
Well, I think we're on the right track. And this question you just asked, we should have asked that probably 20 years ago. And we didn't. And we were living a lie. We were accumulating debts. We were living in a style in which we thought we were a rich country, whereas we were poor. And when the poverty came to catch up with us, we have to live the life that we should have lived before in order to become the country that we're supposed to be. But when the government came in, I remember meeting the president after he won, and I said that I didn't envy him. We didn't know how bad the situation was, at that time. I said I didn't envy him. I used the Yoruba expression. Say, yeah, you're the one that took this task. He said, yes. He said, well, that he was quiet for a while. Then he said, well, he has taken the task, and it's all about thinking and getting things done. That was it. But when you get to the table and you see the figures before you, and you have to deal with it, then you have to deal with it. Well, some things were very clear going in, and it was clear to everybody that one, we couldn't continue with the exchange regime that we had. We couldn't continue with the subsidies that we had. And everybody agreed, everybody agreed that that was going to be the situation. The point is that after agreeing, when hardship is coming, you do not know how it will look like until you get into it. And that is where we are right now. And we had to do it. He had to remove the subsidy. He had to redress the issue of the exchange rate. And it had to come with this birth pangs. And that's what we are going through.
Okay, so
and he had the courage to do it. If he did not do it the time he did it, maybe Nigeria will be looking at Venezuela by now.
Okay, so you see what you said. A lot of social commentators on TV have even international media have always been applauding the move. But locally, the birth pang is painful. It is extremely. It feels like people are being choked. Yes. It feels like the government policy is choking Nigerians out of breath. And we have to acknowledge that that is happening. And I would like to hear your thoughts on if you feel the government is adequately addressing the short-term, reprieve, even as we are going to achieve long-term benefits. Do you think the administration is adequately addressing it? And how do you think they can address it to get to the people? Because right now, the people don't want to hear the English of it is long-term benefits, go through short-term pain. They want to live. They feel like this is taking them out of life.
Yeah, human beings, we are not made to suffer. Yeah? We are not made to suffer. We are meant to survive. And in surviving, we want it to be easy. And it is not always easy, especially when we dig ourselves a big hole where we were. I remember the president has said it a number of times. The trillions of debts that the country had, and the fact that he has reduced it considerably. But when you are trying to solve a situation like this, you have to keep the structure first before the thing will get down to the people. Remember, I use the expression, when you are on the plane, they tell you when there is a loss of oxygen, said the mother should first of all wear your own mask before that of your child, because in trying to wear that of the child, both of you might suffocate. So there is the problem with the short-term thing was the issue of palliatives, and the problem is both government and also the people. you know, how do you get palliatives to the people without it being corrupted, without being sabotaged and bastardized? I remember they were distributing rice. Was it customs or so distributing rice? And I discovered that some families, it was 1 bag per family or something like that. And you discovered that you had like 4 people from one family trying to get it, and then some people choked, and then they stopped it. Yeah. There was a problem with that. There was a problem with data. How do we get it to the right people? And then there was a problem with the political class. I think that was a teething problem that I really was concerned about. The percent of that, and then cash transfers. Who do you give it to? And who will not get it? And if you get it, will you confess that you get it? I mean, I understand there was somebody who got it and didn't tell the people around them that I don't get to, you know. So there are sorts of problems. There's a sociological aspect of it. But essentially, the thing is to make sure that the structure is right. Because it is a long-term thing. It's just like I always refer to the story in the Bible when the children of Israel, that's in Exodus, when they were being whipped by Pharaoh, and all of them were happy. Oh, we are going to cross the river and so on. And then they got there, and they were saying, "Where have you brought us? Why did you bring us here?" At least when we were there, we were eating all kinds of things. Even though they were whipping us, we were still eating, and so on. So it's not easy to suffer.
Let me go on a very short break.
Yes.
You know, so you said something about if the steps that the president has taken now, if he didn't, we may be looking at Venezuela. We may have been looking at Venezuela because we had dug ourselves into a hole. But many Nigerians will say, did Nigerians themselves, did an average Nigerian on the streets participate in this digging of this hole? You know, that the people who dug this hole are the political class, you know, and somehow they are getting like a bailout while the average Nigerian has to pay for this hole that had been dug without their participation, without any benefit to them. Why is it that, you know, in trying to move forward, what many Nigerians are asking is, why don't you take more from that political class? Give to those, you know, those at the grassroots, the regular Nigeria. Let those at the political class feel the pinch of the hole that they have dug over the years, and, you know, with less impact on the average Nigerian.
Well, it is the nature of human society that the leadership destroys, the leadership builds. The people cannot all come to government. That's the tragedy of the whole thing. How do they take from the people in the political class? Well, that's an interesting question. But the point, though, is that this government has not shown that it is pampering the political class as such. Although we've found out what happened in the Senate, the cars, and that thing came. And well, some people have said that if you have taken anybody to become a senator, would you want to move around without a secure vehicle and so on in this kind of society? It is an issue that has been going on. But it's also sometimes unfair to think that everybody in the political class is just chopping, as they say, or they are eating, as they say. Well, people tend to presume that. But the real situation has become what it is because of the nature of suffering in the land. And when the digging was going on, people were talking about the indulgence of the political class, the magnificence of corruption in the political class. But nothing was done about it. But even this government has done, they've cut a lot of things in government. They've done a lot of cost cutting. They've done that in the allowances of those in office and so on. But those things don't seem to come down. There's always speculation about peculation. So we always see that. But it is what it is. When they were digging it, they're digging the hole and taking it away. The society was there looking. And we have to bear the consequence. It is the way society is. There has to be a leader, and there has to be leaders, unless we want a communist nirvana, which can never happen, where everybody is a government.
You see, some of these things are not unfounded, because, in fact, for your people now, a tornado have swept through the states and swept all the umbrellas away and given them brooms recently.
In your states?
In my state?
Yeah, your people.
They're about to receive them now. We're going to be linking up to the news very soon.
The tornado don't sweep them, and it's also because, you know, this class that we're talking about are in one place as against the people, the way we look at it. They take care of themselves. That circle takes care of itself. They decide. The corruption fight against Emefiele is not moving anywhere. When it started, we were all optimistic that, you know, he thinks he will pay for them, but it's looking like it won't happen. You know, eventually such a person will bring an action against the government for human rights abuses, and he might win. So what exactly, how would you put the fights? How would you say people should, you know, perceive this laudable policies of the government, of this administration to change things? How exactly would you say they should do it, that it will be transparently seen, justice will be done, and it will be seen to be done?
Okay. Well, justice is something that grinds slowly, as they say. Justice does not come overnight. You know that justice does not come overnight. That is the way it is. Well, you can say that the political class always talks to each other, and they have always been talking to each other. There's no way there's nothing we can do about that. But the point is for the class to be sensitive to the people. What happened in Delta was politics, was organizing. There's nothing there was nothing wrong with that. You can say that one political party is in trouble.
When you say there's nothing wrong with that, I'm concerned, because usually politics is supposed to be ideological, such that we are rooted in something. Yes. And if you are rooted in nothing, when you say there's nothing wrong with you hobnobbing, and then there's a problem. Then look at what's going to happen about democracy.
When I was in Ife, when we were studying ideology, I've forgotten the writer. I said the occlusion of all ideologies is in itself ideology. It's an ideology. It's ideological. So what is the ideology? Ideology is interest. Some people will say, what I'm interested in is not the strictness of ideology, is that I want to make sure I provide food for the people. I give them, there's no ideology in your house you live in. There's no ideology whether if you're a PDP man, if you're a socialist and I'm a capitalist, if you put Amala there and bring Amala here, it's going to taste the same thing.
Okay. I have to let you go because of time. There's a question that's been on my head for some time, and I'd like to ask it.
Yes.
And I always talk about posture. Government posture for me is very crucial.
Yes.
So a man can lead the people and say, you know what, we are going to suffer for 40 days, no eating.
Yes.
And we are going to, and in suffering, the people see that the leader too is not eating. He's not drinking, he's praying. Our Daddy G of RCCG called 100 days fasting. Millions of people across the world supported, and we agreed, and we first fasted. When I say posture, Nigerians want to see that government is also tightening their belt at the stores. That they're not buying cars. You said it a bit casually, but those cars, the perception to the people is that you're not doing what you're asking us to do. Issue of federal character, are you ensuring that your appointment is spread across where everybody feels like I'm part of the whole? So if the perception is so that the posture is like, okay guys, these are difficult, but I'm ensuring that you don't feel marginalized, you don't feel in a certain way, and you see what I'm doing. Maybe Nigerians will not feel the way they are feeling as.
It's a good point you're making, but this is an argument that keeps coming up and up and up again. You cannot expect a leader to live the same way they live in Mushi because of the responsibility that he has with him. You can't say he cannot have the car.
Jakonde did it now.
Because you have Jakonde. Jakonde did it. Yeah. Jakonde was riding a very big car. He was riding what they call it, Toyota Crown. How many people had Toyota Crown in Lagos? Jakonde was riding Toyota Crown. That's his favorite car. So he was living. He was not living in flamboyance.
Yes, he wasn't.
But there's no evidence to show that even Tinubu is living in flamboyance today. He lives in Aso Rock, which is built for him. Does he eat more than any other person? I don't think so.
People around him,
People around him, do you have any evidence of that? There's also a perception that there's a certain grandeur about being in office. Once you are there, you are there. But nobody has come to say this person is living a big life, or Bayo Onanuga is living a flamboyant life, or Dele Alake is living a flamboyant life, or Wale Edu is living a flamboyant life. Nobody has come to say so, or has seen it, but there's that sense that you want to believe.
We can suggest it, sir.
Then,
you know why we can suggest it? When we say that I am moving from Mushin to VI Mushin is not from Ipaja to VI on my work day, and I used to spend 5,000 in a week, and now I'm spending 50,000 in a week, and it's a huge bill. And Bayo Onanuga says, naysayers, you are not serious. What do you want? Does the president come and move the same way you move? Of course, it's suggestive of the fact that it is something you cannot connect with, because you're living in Lagos.
I agree.
So you are disconnected from that reality, but that does not make it change the reality of some Nigerians who are going through it.
I agree. Reality is very difficult.
Reality
is very difficult to say. For instance, you talk about going to work. The president walks from his house to the office every day. Do you know
the office day one place.
It was a long distance. Because before it's just like somebody who walks from here.
You run out of time. We run out of time.
Daily bread.
We run out of time.
It's daily bread. It's working for.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up there because we've run out of time. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm
wishing you the best on your new book.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.